What's up, guys? Welcome to the first video lesson. I want to get into it quite quickly because I want to keep it nice and short. Basically, what I want to talk about in this video is, well, not just this video and the videos to come as well, is basically the marks of a Christian. How do you know if you actually are Christian? How do you know if you're not? What are you looking for in a Christian to find out if they're actually a Christian? You're trying to minister to people, because it's very difficult trying to minister to a person that you see obviously isn't in the faith, but then they just simply dismiss you by saying that they are in the faith, but they just don't carry the fruits, and the fruits aren't important. Jesus saved them, and that sort of, it's quite difficult to engage that person. But just to make sure that you're not that person yourself, I want to get into the marks of a Christian. I've read passages, I've heard people speak about marks of the Christian, and basically just summarized it to simple 4 words, 4 categories of, or 4 basic marks of a Christian. Firstly, faith. Secondly, I want to talk about obedience, then repentance, as well as fellowship. So those are the 4 things that you should expect in a Christian, and you should expect in your church. In the Church of Christ, those are the 4 things that you need to expect. Basic, important necessities of the church. Today I want to talk about faith, and I'm going to try and keep it quite short. So I'm going to get into the difference between, I heard R.C. Sproul speak about this more than once. He speaks about the difference between the profession of faith and the possession of faith. So there are people who have the profession part of faith, so they can profess to you and tell you that they do have faith in Jesus Christ. There are those who have just the profession of faith, but have no possession of faith. Having faith is not just saying that you do have faith and then that means you do have faith. It doesn't actually mean that. So you have to have faith and then also profess that you have faith. So the two have to come together instead of just having the one side of it. I want to get into 2 fruits of, well, as Jesus said, that you see a tree by its fruit, and we want to tell the tree of faith by its fruit. And today I'm just going to speak of just 2 fruits of the faith. Very important to know, and they actually help us a lot to discern whether the person actually does have true faith or not. After the 2, I'm going to get into the cost of discipleship. Those who actually have the 2 fruit obviously have enough to have true faith and to have discipleship. Then we're going to try and fit that into the Great Commandment. Let's start. So I just want to read from Matthew 16 verse 24 firstly. Then Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Fruit number 1. Basically let me get into fruit number 2 and then we can discuss the 2. So reading again from Matthew 16, now from verse 15. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? This is after they got into Caesarea. We read that they just got to Caesarea. And so Jesus decides to ask, who do the people say that I am? And answers come in. And so after the answers come in, so he asks the important question. So, who do you say that I am? To which Simon Peter replies, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Basically, just from Matthew 16 verse 24 and from Matthew 16 verse 15, first fruit is the fruit of, well, first fruit of it that we see is that person with faith with true faith will actively deny themselves. You'll actively deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow Christ. So that is losing self-will, basically what I always wanted, and who I was no longer is me, what I was identified as. Perhaps I was identified as a criminal, or a rapist, or homosexual. Once I got into the faith, and I had true faith, I am no longer identified by those, because I've lost that identity and have denied myself of that identity. That's not me, you know. So that's just the first fruit, the denial of self. And we're going to read more into that actually as we get into the cost of it. So taking up your cross, basically taking up the instrument of torture, taking up all the basically, you know, being ready to be persecuted for the faith, being ready to die for the faith, willingly, and that's just the first fruit. Let's get into the next fruit, is the knowledge of who it is that you say you have faith in. It's very easy to say that you have faith in Jesus Christ and then ask you who is Jesus Christ, and silence. Can't answer the question. Or you answer the question and say something else. And this actually makes a difference between the church and other people who say they're Christians who are actually not a part of the church and not a part of the historical doctrines that the church has held up to in accordance to who Jesus actually is. So Matthew 16 verse 15, I think all the way up to 17, is Jesus actually asking his disciples, who do you say that I am? You know, we've heard what the people think I am. Now, who do you say that I am? And as a disciple, obviously, you ought to know who it is that you have faith in. And you have to be able just to know exactly who Jesus is. And as Simon Bar Jonah said it, you are the Christ, Son of the living God. And another thing is revealed to us, and Jesus actually lets us know that Simon Peter is actually blessed because this was not revealed by flesh and blood, but revealed from the Father himself. And basically, once you get the having of true faith leads to a revelation of who Christ is from the Father, if that makes sense. So it's not about just saying, I have faith in God, I have faith in Jesus Christ, but yet you do not know who Christ is, and perhaps you just haven't been fortunate enough to have been taught this, or haven't been fortunate enough to have had a Bible to read and actually find out who he is as God revealed it to Peter. And Peter is, and the apostles, basically Matthew, writing this account, has revealed to us what was revealed to Peter about who Jesus Christ is. Maybe you haven't gotten to read that, but it's important for you to know, and he has an opportunity to do. Now I want to get into the cost of discipleship. Jesus emphasizes on the importance of knowing the cost and what it actually costs to be his disciple. So Luke 14 verse 26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? very important, very important. I'm going to start at the end of this passage and read which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost whether he has enough to complete it? So I look at, just looking at a practical perspective sort of thing. People want to get into gym and they want to develop a sort of physique that they're looking for, and so they want to join gym. Firstly, you have to obviously count the cost of it. How much is it going to cost, like gym membership fee or whatever, the sports, the necessary gear, the necessary supplements if they need supplements, and basically at the end you've calculated the cost, how much time it's going to consume out of your day, and how you're going to do it. If you do not do the counting before you actually start, you're going to go to the gym once or for about 1 month. I don't think you actually even get to the end of the month, but probably by the third day or the third time you get to the gym, you're going to stop. You're going to stop. You didn't count the pain into it. You didn't count the enduring that it takes to go to gym and be disciplined enough to do all the workouts and do them properly. And it just becomes a bit of an extra thing and a burden, and then you just decide to stop. I know I just made this example because I'm sure many people can relate to this. It's the same with going out running on the road. Might not run a distance that you actually wanted to run because you just got too tired, and then you just end up giving up because it's just a bit too difficult. Counting the cost before you're actually getting into something actually is very important in deciding whether you're actually going to complete the task in the first place. Bear that in mind. So getting into what Jesus is actually speaking about, it's very similar to what he was saying in Matthew 16 verse 24, is that if, again, self-denial, very important, but now it's not just self-denial, but it's actually, it's just brought in a very difficult lump of hard potato to swallow, because he just spoke about you have to hate your father, your mother, your brothers, your sisters, your children, your wife, people who are most close to you, you have to hate. I mean, never mind your friends, never mind the people you just met on campus and you feel like you like them and they're friends, never mind your girlfriend, never mind your boyfriend. Yeah, you have to hate the people most closest to you to follow Christ. That's what it costs. So basically what he's saying is be prepared to know what is going to come. Be prepared you must hate even your own life. Be prepared to lose your life. Don't love your life so much that you're not prepared to lose it. Once you've become the Lord's disciple, be prepared to lose your life for it. Be prepared to hate your father and mother for the faith. Be prepared to hate your own spouse for the faith. Be prepared to hate your own child for the faith. And just talking on child, I want to speak into Romans. Paul actually uses Abraham as an example of faith, being justified by faith and not by works. And it's important because looking at Abraham and what happened, then he had to sacrifice his son, his only son. He had to love the Lord so much that and have enough faith to be able to say that I would rather kill my son than to disobey God. That's how much faith he had. And that's what it cost. The life of his own son. He didn't really kill the son, but he was prepared to do it because he knew the cost. And the cost is counted and is made sure of before you get into it. So as Christians, if you're looking to just come into Christianity and think you're going to have a ball and it's going to be fun and Jesus is going to bless you with a nice and comfortable life and all the pleasures of this world, it's not going to happen. Be prepared to die. Be prepared to be hated by the people closest to you. Be prepared to actually having your love for them must be as though it's hate compared to the love you have for the one you say you have faith for. Now, I just wanted to get all of this into to the perspective of the Great Commandment, which I find quite interesting. So a lawyer decided Jesus was silenced the Sadducees, and so they wanted to try and shake him up a bit, and the lawyer asked him a question saying, in Matthew 22, verse 36 to 38, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" And he said to him, "Well, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment." Coming back to faith, now that we read the great commandment, get to faith, and then you find out that you have to deny yourself. You have to deny yourself and even equate your love for the one you have faith for to hate for the ones that are around, not equated, but comparing the love you have for your closest people who are around you must be as though it hate compared to the love for the one you say you have faith for, being prepared to die for it. Those two fruits actively the fruit of knowing who God is and who the Son of God is. Now we get to the great commandment. You need to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And this basically ties in with having to not love yourself as much as you love God, or love God and then love yourself just a tad bit below. No, it doesn't work like that. You basically have to love the Lord your God with everything that you have, and there's nothing else that can come into it, or there's no hierarchical type of love that you set up in your heart that I'm going to love God more, then it's going to be me, then it's going to be my wife, and then it's going to be someone else, and then there's none of that. It's basically love the Lord your God with all your mind, all your heart, all your soul. I think I mixed them up, but it's all of those. It's everything that you have. The essence of you has to love God with everything that's God. And with that, I just wanted to conclude. Before I actually conclude it, I wanted to read what James actually said about faith and how faith ties in with works. This is actually something that actually shines a light. One of those that shine a light on the relationship between faith and works, because you're not justified by works, but justified by faith. But then you know true faith by the works of the one who bears the faith. So I want to go into, I'm trying to find it quickly. Right, James chapter 2 verse 14. I'm going to read from 14. "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith, but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' go in peace while you be warmed and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." Living faith, ladies and gentlemen, is known by its works, and basically the essence of these words, two fruits: deny yourself, know who Jesus is, count the costs before you even try and get into things that you're not sure about, and remember the first and great commandment. And there is also a second one. So if you read on from Matthew chapter 2 verse 36 all the way to 40, you should get the gist of the conversation. Anyways, cheers guys, stay well, God be with you.